I wanted to first just thank you so much for your willingness and eagerness to provide us with this information this morning. I had such an enjoyable chat with you a couple weeks ago when we talked about what kind of content we were going to be sharing, and I was feverishly taking notes as you were speaking. So I think everyone is going to take away something from this. And I've been to webinars where, I don't really leave with a lot. So I'm excited because I think this is going to be very practical and very inspiring for folks.
Great. And I encourage everyone to ask questions even in the middle. So if you want to interrupt me in the middle of it, it's totally fine. I'd like to make this interactive as possible. So that's totally fine. And I'm going to get going and start sharing my slides. Okay. Here we go. And all right. So hopefully you can see all that. Everyone can see this? Okay, great. So we're going to talk about digital platform, multi-platform strategy for your voice. And really, at the end of the day, what we're talking about is thought leadership. And building thought leadership builds authority for who you are. So that means you're somebody who has credibility, someone who has influence, someone who has reach. That's a big part of what we're doing today. And I want to share a bit about my background story. So back in the day, I've been a speaker for many, many years, but on March 5th, 2011, I decided to launch a social media strategy to grow. And of course, being a small business owner, I had very limited budget, but I'd been in business for about 4 years at that point. I had zero budget for social media, but I decided to start posting on various platforms. And pretty soon I started to grow. And the first place that I got something noticeable was in August 2011, 6 months into Twitter, I had 5,000 followers, and someone, Autism Ontario, said, "Bobby, we love what you share on social media. Can you come in and do a training session?" I was like, "Holy cow, yes. What?" I was like, "Wow, I got a gig right off of social media." I couldn't believe it. And so I realized that social media was definitely here to stay. I want to invest in it. Let me try and build it up. And so pretty soon within Twitter, I had 100,000 followers by November, within another year from then. And I got 3 more TEDx invites, and I just kept growing. I decided to grow on LinkedIn after that. And LinkedIn, I had 8,000 connections in 2017. Pretty soon grew that to 20,000 followers. My company page grew to 22,000 followers. And I currently have, and now I have 70,000 followers on LinkedIn, 500,000 on Twitter, and I've built that up across multiple platforms. And I've been on all the platforms you see here, whether it's Instagram or I did try Snapchat. I'm not always there, but my kids are there. I worked on YouTube, TikTok. I've worked on all the different ones. And the question then becomes, has that helped me? Well, absolutely, it has helped me, right? Because, first off, I was named in Inc. magazine top 100 leadership speaker alongside Richard Branson, John C. Maxwell, and Bernie Brown. And that was, and it was amazing because, a lot of these awards that come out the pipeline. And fun fact, a lot of people pay for these things. This one just came my way, and I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. I've also done 5 TEDx talks, and I've also been invited to 4 other TEDx talks that I declined politely for various reasons. So that's 9 TEDx talk invitations. And of course, I was named a top 75 LinkedIn influencer alongside one of my heroes, Gary Vaynerchuk. So that was kind of cool. And then finally, in 2024, I became a LinkedIn top voice. I got the blue badge. I also had the official blue badge, verified blue badge on Twitter. But this one was actually very meaningful for me because it brought legitimacy to all the work I was doing. So that was kind of cool. And I think it's also important to think about what are some of the top thought leadership trends that are coming out there. Like when you think about building thought leadership, I'm going to ask the audience here, when you think about building thought leadership, what do you think are some of the key trends to get your thought leadership known out there? Put that in the chat. I want to hear what you got. This is the part where you type deep, 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 deep. Like where do people build thought leadership? How do they build? So consistency, that's a trend, absolutely. Where would you build? What would you talk about? Those are things I'm curious about. Consistency, thank you, Gina. Anyone else? There's a picture here of Gary Vaynerchuk doing this stuff too. Okay. All right. All right. Well, let me share the first one with you. Well, the first thing is real human anchored opinions on current trends, right? So 64% of business executives said they'd rather have thought leadership that has a more human, less formal tone of voice. This is something we're seeing across all platforms, even LinkedIn, more social, more personal, more casual, makes a big difference. Okay. If you have any other suggestions of what are some of the trends out there, put them in the chat. I'd love to see what you come up with. Number two, content strategy that matters most. So you all need to invest in video, audio rooms and podcasts are hot right now too. So are email newsletters, and in particular storytelling, right? So learning how to tell stories across the board, B2C, B2B doesn't really matter. 65% of buyers say thought leadership significantly changed the perception of a company for the better, right? And then finally, the multi-platform portfolio balance, right? You want to reach an audiences, cross-platform growth, repurpose content, leverage automation tools, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Okay. So why is multi-platform so important? And again, I'm going to put this I'm going to put this in the audience again. So those who are listening in, I would love to hear why do you think multi-platform is so important? I'd love to get your take. Please share your thoughts so we can actually, and hey, we can even I'll tell people what you said and what your name is. See, this is a way of getting yourself known on a platform here. So put in what? So different audiences on different platforms. Sure, we want to address a different audience. Good. Reach people where they are. Good. Good. I like that. Okay. Multiple impressions are needed. Well, let's say they're helpful. We don't need to have them, but it's good to have them. Let's just say that. Anything else, guys? This is good. I love this. Okay. And it's probably good for me to just show. Here we go. People are sharing stuff here. This is good. I love this. Various age groups. Awesome. Okay, good. So first off, the number one reason is you want to protect yourself from rented real estate. And this is a really big issue. So this is one of my friends, colleagues, and actually former coaches, Carlos Adele, and he had built a huge business platform on Facebook. He had a Facebook page, businesses, his main profile, blah, blah, blah. It was amazing. Then what happened? He got locked out of Facebook. In fact, and he couldn't get back in. He tried forever. And a year went by, and his entire business was based on that platform, and everything kind of fell apart for him. Now, he decided to switch to LinkedIn, and now he's back on Facebook because he has stuff there now. But, that 1 year of not being able to access Facebook was really, really jarring for him. Then my friend Melanie, she was solely on LinkedIn, and she's a career coach and LinkedIn strategist, and she got locked out, and she was locked out for 3 months. And again, her entire clients, lead generation, everything she was doing and brand was on LinkedIn, nowhere else. And so that was detrimental to what she was doing. So they both realized they have to spread out and have places elsewhere. Ideally, you want everybody on your email list, right? But that was a big issue for her. So, and here's where it gets even more interesting. Even myself, I got locked out of LinkedIn. I got this notification from LinkedIn. I kind of I didn't know about it. Some of my friends messaged me, "Hey Bobby, where are you? What's going on? You disappeared on LinkedIn. What's going on?" I was like, "What?" And then I checked it. I was like, "You know what? Bobby Umar, even though he's a LinkedIn top voice, he was canceled. Oh my God." And I was freaking out. And I was going through LinkedIn support and I was answering questions, trying to figure it out. Luckily, I figured it out, and I was only locked out for 3 days, so I came back. So, but at that point, I was already doing multi-platform, so it's totally fine. The other reason is you want to meet new and diverse audiences, right? So, when Clubhouse became a big thing, I dove deep into it. I went into it. When Substack is now a big thing, I'm leveraging that as well. Building on different platforms, there's people on different platforms, particularly for different target audiences, that you might find really useful. I mean, Twitter is known for people who are in tech, particularly in Web 3.0, all NFTs and cryptocurrencies. It's a big place for that. If you want to if you have a visual type business, let's say you're a baker or a fitness person, places like Pinterest and Instagram are good for you. So you do meet new and diverse audience because not everyone is everywhere. Like there's people that are on other platforms. Some people are on Instagram, some are on LinkedIn, some are on other ones maybe you haven't even heard of. Now, in the old days, the big question is how many do I start with? I always get that question. And again, put your question in the question box. We'll get to whatever you want. The OG big three back in the day was Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Facebook was kind of personal and community building. LinkedIn was kind of professional and business development. And then Twitter was just information and thought leadership out there. But what happened was two things happened. One was that there was a switch. Pretty soon, people were using Facebook for business development and for thought leadership. People were using Twitter for community building. People were using LinkedIn for personal posts. So they started to interact, and people saw that. And then, of course, the OG Big Three became actually four more. Actually, it says three, but four more. There's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Substack. They are very, very big platforms and another place to start. Now, how do you choose to start? Well, pick the one where your audience is, starting with that. But but you can add a few more that are easily repurposable. So for me, for example, when I do a video on LinkedIn, it's very easy for me to take that video, put it on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, no problem. When I do a newsletter on LinkedIn, it's very easy for me to repurpose that and put it on Substack. So these are things that I'm thinking about as part of my plan. So, social media connections everywhere. Now, most people start here on LinkedIn, which is fine, but honestly, you could decide to invest in a variety of platforms. Just a question of, the key is if everyone you target is there, you need to be there too, but also play to your strengths. So if you're someone who's really good at video, then definitely be doing TikTok and Instagram. If video is not your thing, you're more of a writer, then WordPress and Medium and Substack are ways to go. If you're more of an audio person, you like to talk, Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces, and doing your own podcast. Those are things that you can do. Okay. And I love this quote, your brand is everything, because you have to be different, great, or first. And the reason I say this is because even if you're not first, you can still be different. You can still be great, right? And who here is ready to be great and different? All of you, I hope. Okay. So I think that's a really important thing to understand. So getting started, where do we start? Well, I would say you have to start where you are. You have to do kind of understand kind of where I am. So I'm going to take you through kind of the process of how to think about, simply building up your brand, your portfolio, your thought leadership brand, using content and putting it out there. So the first question really is, what is your primary objective? You have to ask that question, right? So if your goal is, I want to get a job, I want to build my network, I want to become an influencer, I want to become a thought leader, I want to build a personal brand, I want to get business clients, I want to get a promotion. But just think about that. What exactly is your primary objective for using LinkedIn? Or sorry, not LinkedIn, but digital, any digital platform. What is your primary objective? That's the first thing. Okay. Number two, what is your personal brand? So, having a clear, focused brand of who you are is way better than being like 10 different things. This is something I see everyone do wrong all the time. They're like, well, I'm into cryptocurrency and I'm a yoga instructor and I love musical theater and I love to speak and I have a book and I'm also a coach and I'm also, running this nonprofit and I'm also volunteering for this organization. It's like, okay, but when you do that, people tune it out. You have to pick the one thing or the two things. That's it. What are those things? Because when you have that focus, you have that niche, you're more likely to be seen and noticed, and you're more likely to build thought leadership. So personal branding is like a deep dive effort to dive deep and commit to the process, understand what it all is all about, how people see you and perceive you, and then craft something. Most people, they do is they design their brand strategy, they develop the assets, the marketing materials, their profiles, things like that, and they put it out there, but they don't really have the focus. They need to do the deep dive here so that your focus is more 85, 95% aligned versus being only 50% aligned. Okay, so that's important to understand. Be clear on your personal brand, be clear on your target. And of course, that's the next question. Who is your target audience, right? If you are if you're a financial investment person, you're trying to help people with their finances, let's say, and then they're investing, maybe you're targeting people who are really wealthy. Maybe you're targeting couples or people who started families and want to make the most of financial investments. Where are these people? You have to understand who these people are and what they're saying, because most people complain that marketers don't know who they are, what they want. So when you nurture those leads with personalized content, there's a 20% increase in sales. So you have to understand who your target is, who they are, what they care about, what they feel, what they think about. So I think about small business owners. I think about people who want to elevate their brand with a TEDx talk. I think about people who want to build their digital thought leadership. These are people that I like to talk to. So then the other question is number four, which platforms and which is primary? So a standard way for people to do this is they pick a primary platform and they pick their secondary platforms. And so for me, I've chosen LinkedIn as my primary platform, of which then TikTok, and I have a lot of secondary. So I have TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. That's five. And now I'm adding Substack. So that's six. Now I can do six because I've been doing this for a long time. But for most of you, I recommend pick one and then two more. Okay, pick one and then two more. That's what I would suggest. Okay. But again, hey, part of it depends on how much time you have. And that's the other question now. How much time do I have? So which platforms you're going to use, which one's your primary platform? And of course, anybody want me to look at their platforms or their profiles or have questions, let me know, and I'm happy to answer your questions for you. The question number 5 is how you build relationships, right? So you want to create that ROI or that ROR, the return relationship. You want to show that you care about people. You want to be responsive. You want to, build those connections, because when you build relationships, you build community, you build trust, and that's where the magic happens. And content, of course, is the biggest driver of this relationship building piece. But that's what content is. Content starts conversations, it showcases your expertise, and it builds connection, community, and trust. And that's why we do it. Okay. So here's some steps to build relationships. Now, step 1, create the content, which is what we are talking about today. You create content, right? People then engage on it, right? Content creates conversations. Branded content, if it's more focused and aligned and targeted, creates more aligned conversation and transaction, which leads to better results. Okay. And then engage and comment on people's posts. There's some people who are really good engagers, people really good commenters. That makes a big difference. Here's my friend Lila Smith. She's fantastic at commenting on stuff. She tags people, she starts conversations, and people start responding to her, which is great. Commenting builds engagement, it builds your brand, and amplifies conversation. So commenting is something like people who reply to my tweets, people who comment on my Instagram, my TikTok, and my YouTube posts. The truth is, even though I have 750,000 followers, the people who actually comment are minuscule. So I remember them. Like I remember the ones who actually comment. It actually sets you apart. Then you want to get into DMs. So if you want to build relationships, you want to get some transactions, DMs is the way to go. That is the primary strategy across every single platform. You want to get them to have a conversation with you, whether they get into a DM with you or they email you. And then, because you build real and authentic connection with personal messages, you may want to try doing voice messages. I've done a couple of voice memos on, and you can send video messages on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. It's kind of fun to do that. So you can try that too. And then eventually you transition to an in-real call or meetup. So whether they're local, you can meet up, or you can also try to, get a call going. And that's kind of where the magic happens. And then question 6, and this is more focused on business owners. Can you ask for business? But if you're looking for a job, can you ask for an opportunity? It's a very hard thing to do. A lot of people struggle with the mindset, right? You have to get outside your comfort zone. You got to be able to go for it. You got to be able to act in spite of fear, build fulfillment, explore things, and keep going. So I think to me, those are the 6 big questions you need to get started on digital to build and grow what you're trying to do. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to share with you is tactical tools you can use to help you when you're on the way. So obviously, AI is a really, really big deal. Okay. And certainly, I've been using AI. I use multiple tools for my content strategy. Certainly, ChatGPT is my primary one, although I have dabbled in the other ones. I mean, one quick tip I'll give you before I get into this is that people say, which one do I use? Do I use Claude? Do I use Copilot? Do I use Gemini? Do I use ChatGPT? Perplexity? Whatever it is. The truth is, you want to pick one because they're all very, very similar. Pick one and just invest in that one and make it as good as possible for yourself and learn how to use it. For me, I've used ChatGPT now for 2 years, and I have that. Plus, I have other tools. But from a content strategy standpoint, let me share 2 things that are really helpful. So, an AI tool called Opus Clip. There's other ones called Video. Basically, what it does, it takes any video you've done. So I do like a monthly live stream, or even like, for example, we could take this webinar. And what it does is it'll take an hour long or half hour long thing you did, and it'll give you 30 to 90-second chunks that you can actually use. So it creates here it creates on the left what it looks like, and then it adds the headline, it adds the subtitles, and then you just share. And what's great about a tool like Opus Clip or Video or the other ones is you not only can share, you not only save it to your own laptop, but you can also share right away to TikTok, YouTube from the platform. So it's a great way to get your message out in multiple ways to multiple people. So to me, I think this is a great way to save time. And if a video is the most important content piece, I encourage you to look at some of these types of tools. Then, of course, we have CapCut. And CapCut, if you're making videos on your phone, which is really great. If there's a great mobile app, there's also a desktop app. Whenever I make a video on my own, I'll say, hey, I have it here, and I'll just share. share a tip for 60 seconds. I then go to CapCut, I add headlines, I add the subtitles, and then maybe I'll add some music, and then I just post. And again, to me, CapCut allows you to post right away into YouTube, into TikTok, into other platforms. And again, that's why, it's a good tool. And they also have really good AI. I mean, the AI to generate the captions is great. So again, AI is a very, very large, it's a very large topic we can get into. I'm not going to go into them. I'll answer your questions. I'll show you all my other tools. But I want to let you know that AI is definitely a great way to help you create content and help you amplify your reach quickly. Number two is using scheduling tools. And again, there are a lot of scheduling tools. There's, I'm going to talk about MeetEdgar and RightStack, but there are other ones too. Like you may have heard of Buffer, you may have heard of Hootsuite. There's lots of them out there. So a scheduling tool is a way for you to put your content and then share it out there. And so for me, MeetEdgar, I'll talk about MeetEdgar in terms of, what but see you can attach all your platforms. So you can add Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, Threads, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. And on my MeetEdgar platform, they are all connected and linked. But one thing I'm going to say that I love about MeetEdgar, there's two things actually. One is you can probably see here on the left, there's a library and a queue. What I like about that is, I've done 1,000 YouTube videos. So I can actually put all my most successful videos, right? Put them in the library. Let's say I put my top 100 that are there that I've done. Or let's say you have your top 50 or top 10 or top 20 posts. You put them in there and you can queue them up to go across multiple platforms. That's awesome. I love that tool. And the other one, of course, is, you can also queue things just like you can schedule things. So you can queue things up. But the other thing that's not you can't see on the photo is they also have this thing where you take RSS feeds. So for example, I love people like Mark Manson or Brittany Brown or Gary Vaynerchuk. I love their content. So I can easily extract from their blog posts the RSS feed and then share that across Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, just like that. Very, very easy. I do love that. So that to me is a really great way to set it up. And MeetEdgar is one of my primary scheduling tools that I use. Number two is RightStack, and I'm bringing up RightStack only because one of the hottest new content places is Substack. People are moving from their email marketing and moving things to Substack. I recently done the exact same thing. I took my entire email newsletter from my Go High Level account and I moved all 10,000 of them to Substack. And that's where I'm creating all my emails, all my newsletters, all my written content that will go to people's inboxes. So to me, it's a big opportunity. Now, they have this thing called RightStack, which allows you to schedule notes and posts, which is kind of cool because you want to be able to schedule things. And so being able to do that is really good, especially the notes, because notes are like tweets or like short little pieces of ideas. I've generated a whole bunch of them using ChatGPT and then my own content from my history. And essentially, I will then put them on there and schedule like 100 over the entire week, and you can spread them out too, which is kind of cool. So all these reasons why using scheduling tools is a really good way to go, right? And then number three is automation tools. Now, one thing about automation tools, you have to make sure the automation tool is legit. Remember how I talked about people being locked out of Facebook or LinkedIn, or even people getting locked out of Twitter or Instagram? A lot of these platforms don't like automation tools. So you have to make sure the tool that is used is legit. Years ago, I was using this really great tool on Twitter, and then Twitter said we can no longer use it, and they actually put that company out of business. They said you can't use no more using this thing. So yeah, the founders just refund everybody, and that was the end of that. And like, see you later, guys. It was nice working with you. And on LinkedIn too, like there are some that they are okay with. There are some that they definitely dislike, and there's some that they, I guess, don't know about or don't care. But if you have to be really careful about that. Okay. That said, my favorite is if this then that IFTT. Actually, it's IFTTT. If this then that. And the reason I love this one is because and this is where this is the type of automation that spreads really easy. People always say to me, Bobby, how can you be everywhere all at once? How do you do that? I said, well, and I'll show you what happens. So for example, when I upload a video to TikTok, it automatically tweeted out to my followers. If I put a video on Instagram, it'll actually automatically share the link plus the photo image on Twitter. Whenever I upload any sort of YouTube video, it goes everywhere. So I have tools that it automatically puts it on a Facebook page, on a LinkedIn page, on Twitter, just everywhere. It's pretty awesome that way. So I love the automation of if this then that. It also has some really clever ones, some really cool ones. Like for example, down at the bottom here, you have like you can just share a post with an image. So every day I'll share a post on Twitter, just a quote, a famous quote with an image, things like that. You can download ones from like NASA. Here's the coolest NASA wallpaper image of the day. People like that kind of stuff. Often I'll share, so hey, you know what? Check out my weekly Zoom. I do a weekly Zoom call on Thursdays. Hey, check it out. It's coming out. It's coming tomorrow. And so now I can do this, and it's there. So I really love the ability to actually take one thing social media wise, spread it to lots of other places. Okay, that to me is an amazing tactical tool, and I highly recommend this one as well. All right. So again, if you have questions on these tools or other tools that I'm using, again, after we get to the Q&A, I'm happy to share different things that I would do. Okay. So those are the three different tactical. And let me just review them again, just so you have them all. So again, using AI and tools to help you out. So I use ChatGPT as well as Opus Clip, CapCut. There's another one I use called Postwise, which I can talk about later. Using scheduling tools like MeetEdgar and RightStack to get all your content out there really easily and schedule it all, because you know it's quicker to create content when you batch it, right? You create 5 little posts, you put them all up there, and you schedule them all out. It's way easier than doing them one at a time. And then, of course, automation tools, right? So if this, then that is one of the best ones to make sure it's legit. And yeah, exactly. Batching for the win. I love that. All right. And so, and again, we said the reason why we build digital relationships is because we want to build business. So, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, give value, give value, give value, then ask for business. And he calls that the right hook, jab, 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 right hook is what he calls it. I have my own theories on this. I will call it what I call a 20-second hug and a group hug. 20-second hug is what I call a vulnerable story. So sometimes I'll share a vulnerable story every couple of weeks. It's a great way to build virality. It's a great way to build trust. It doesn't lead to business, but it does lead to more views and clicks and things like that. And the other one I do is called the group hug. And what a group hug is me talking about other people. So every Monday, I'll do a post where I'll talk about the things I'm doing. I'll tag all the people I'm working with and collaborating with. Like for example, this one MeetEdgar, I tagged them on a post on my Monday newsletter. So that to me is a group hug, what I call. And I do want to mention the importance of thought leadership. So all of you who are trying to build thought leadership and digital thought leadership with your content, this is my model that I use. It starts with mindset and confidence at the very bottom, right? So you want to make sure we all have mindset and confidence issues. Sometimes we're shy to share something, we're shy to get personal, we're shy to do a video, whatever it might be. But you want to work on that confidence and mindset. All of us need to work on our content strategy, digital presence. All of us need to work on our storytelling and speaking. All of us need to work on building meaningful relationships, and all of us need to have a clear personal brand. And if you have a clear personal brand, it'll then feed back into better confidence, better storytelling, more aligned content strategy, and more targeted relationship building. So this is the foundation. All of us usually have a gap in one of these 5 areas. That's really the issue. I use TEDx as the flagship to kind of grow my TEDx, grow my brand out there. So I leverage my TEDx talks. I help other people with the same thing. But this is how you level up. And for all of you probably have one of these. One of these is a gap for you. Okay, so it's important to understand what those gaps are and to leverage them. And then, of course, in order to grow, you need to have the knowledge and the strategies. You need to have community and coaching, a place to be, get feedback, to keep you accountable, things like that. And then, of course, with consistency of your content strategy, with confidence with your message and clarity of who you are and who you target, that's how you level up your thought leadership digital brand. Okay. And I'm happy to talk about this more. I talk about this all the time. I love talking about this. Now, I have a little gift for everybody today, which is I want to share with you a little PDF for small business owners and content creators. This is just a way for you. It's very short. It's a way for you to get clarity in personal brand targeting and using LinkedIn, especially if you're a small business owner. But if you're not, you can still use it as well. And of course, I encourage you to check out my Substack, my 5-day TEDx challenge, and my TLB Club community for small business owners. I'll put some of those in the link in the chat, the links in the chat, and you guys can check those out. But hopefully you can enjoy that. But we'll send you that PDF because I want to thank you for being here, and those who are watching this or watching the replay, I do thank you, and I also thank Lacey and the team for putting this together. So some final thoughts before we close and open for some Q&A or review of your stuff. Um, Authentic digital connection is about how you say it, right? So you want to show a little care, you want to give something of value, and most importantly, you want to make people feel like we meet their needs without them having to verbalize what they are. Because when you show that you know someone and you actually know people, it makes a huge impact on them, but it's also going to make a huge impact on you. So make sure you're making people feel awesome. Every day, I tell my kids every day, make people feel good. Good. That's the number one thing. I know it doesn't matter how smart you are, strong you are, fast you are, or whatever it is, funny you are. Make people feel good. That's going to go a long way for you. And again, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. If you're ready to start, you're ready to learn, then come here, ask questions, work on it. And you know what? Tag the people that are here. Get to know each other, tag each other, share your links and posts and profiles. But if you tag me, maybe I'll see it and maybe I'll comment on it. Next thing you know, my 55,000 followers on LinkedIn will see that too. So with that, this is all my contact information. I'm happy to take questions. Again, I encourage you to check out the QR codes, which is one is the purple one's the Substack, and the red one is my TEDx 5-day challenge. And you can always reach out to me anytime. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. And I really had an awesome time with the conversation.
There we go. Bobby, that was so great. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, I'm looking in right now, and I don't know if anyone has discovered the fact that there is a separate Q&A tab. So people can use that, or if it's easier, they could always just use the webinar chat functionality because I think everyone's found that already too. So if those watching have any questions for Bobby, please, now is the time. Oh, I think we have one came in. Kath has asked, what's the biggest mistake people make when trying to go multi-platform?
I think the biggest mistake in terms of going multi-platform is they try to treat each platform the same, right? They're different. And so you have to be mindful of the fact that, every audience is different in terms of how they interact. So you have to be, you have to be really, really big on making sure you understand the difference. So for example, if I were to do a video on LinkedIn, I would use no hashtags. But when I go onto Instagram, I would use some hashtags, right? And that to me is already a big thing. On TikTok and on Instagram, for example, I might add music to the video. Same video, right? The same video is on my phone, but when I go into Instagram and upload it, I will try to do that. The other thing that people do wrong is they say, I put a post on LinkedIn and I share the exact same post using automation tools across the other platforms. Every single platform does not like that. They want you to natively upload. Now, Twitter doesn't care because it's just tweets, right? And that's fine. But when it comes to, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn in particular, and Facebook actually, they want you to natively upload the stuff, which means you have to put some time into doing so. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on it. So I think for me, those are probably the biggest things that are incredibly important for making it work for yourself.
That's great. Thank you. I have one. It was a
Sure.
lot of information, and I get overwhelmed very quickly and easily.
Sure.
What do you think the first thing we should do today after we leave this webinar? What's the first plan of action that we can do?
Good question. I think that, well, I mean, the first thing is to take a snapshot of where you are. One of the things I said in the very beginning was, start where you are, right? So, what is your snapshot? Are you on 3 platforms? Are you on one platform? If so, what do your profiles look like? Now look at your profiles. Like, well, what exactly are you saying? Is it clear? I mean, one of the things I like to do in any of these talks is to, or even the Q&A is, hey, let's look at your profile. Like, if anyone here wants me to look at their profile, I will usually go there and I'll see, okay, you know what? I see you talking about 6 things. What's the one thing? Because, what's the one thing? What's the primary? What's the secondary? Because if you have more than 2, it's getting lost, right? So a lot of people struggle with that. So you want to take that snapshot, just look at where you are and what you're trying. But again, going back to the question, number one thing is, what is your goal? What are you trying to do? I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to get promoted. I'm trying to get clients for my business. If it's one of those things, okay, great. Now we develop something like is your current snapshot doing that? And if it's not, what can you do better? And so for me, that's the beginning steps of everything.
I love it. When you talk about focusing on that one message, I think about this too with MeetEdgar. One of our strongest areas is evergreen content. And that's, that message that can be shared over and over again. And I struggle with that because I'm a bit of a squirrel. I like all the shiny things. How do you really hone in on that one topic and that one priority and kind of keep repeating that message, but keeping it fresh?
Well, I mean, whatever your topic is, I mean, most of us can come up with 3 to 4 content pillars around what we talk about. So, for example, in if I'm a TEDx guy, like TEDx to me, I can talk about public speaking, I can talk about storytelling, I can talk about thought leadership, right? And these are pillars that I can talk about. I can talk about vulnerability, right? And so I can take those 3 pillars and from that come up with multiple things that I can talk about. Now, once you start putting stuff out there and you're sharing across those different, content pillars, you start to see which ones really work well and which ones really don't work well. And the ones that work well, those are the ones you want to share again, right? So that's where you put in the library. That's where you repurpose and evergreen that stuff. There are a lot of people out there who do really great work in evergreening. Like a really good example of evergreening with email marketing is Justin Welch. He has the same weekly emails 52 weeks of the year, right? And he rotates, right? But you hear the message a year later and it's still relevant to you. Like, oh yeah, that's a good message. And that's okay. So you create a library of really great content and you just start repurposing it. Now, not every week, but if you get enough stuff, like let's say I have 20 posts that I've done in the last 6 months that I've done really well, I can start putting them out there once a week or even once a month, and that's fine, right? So yeah, you can totally evergreen stuff.
That's great. We've got another question that came in from Kath. When you're just starting out, how do you decide which platforms are actually worth your time?
Well, again, let's go back to the let's go back to the objective, right? So, the first 3 questions I told you to focus on is number one, what is your objective? Number two, what is your personal brand? And number three, who's your target? Those 3 things. Based on those 3 things, you should be able to come up with the platform, which was question number 4, which is what platform shall I use? So, for example, if your heart is into, let's say your heart and brand is all about cooking, cooking, baking, and you love to make, and you're quite comfortable making videos and things like that, and you want to grow, and you just open up a cafe, and you want to showcase all your baked wonderful goods you've created, then you can choose a place like TikTok or Instagram or YouTube to grow. Now, again, it's important to pick a primary profile. So then you also want to think about who your audience is. So, for example, if your audience is older versus younger, then you might want to choose, Instagram versus um, TikTok. If your audience is much older, like me, maybe you try Facebook first. Like the point is you have to understand where they are, right? So that's how you decide where they are. Now, that said, I have a bit of a slant towards LinkedIn as being one of your group. So what I would say is that even if you have a primary as TikTok or a primary as Instagram, I would make LinkedIn be one of the 3 that you start off with. Only because LinkedIn, the algorithm is really good right now for video content or even any content. They like to they do a good job of getting they give good organic traffic to new content creators. That's a big deal because it's hard to build it. Some of you who just started out on TikTok, Instagram, it takes forever to get, some content. Whereas, on YouTube, for example, you put a 60-second short and you get like 1,000 views. Like, wow, how'd that happen? That's because they're promoting the shorts, right? So it's important to understand the algorithms of each platform and how it works. But I would actually make sure LinkedIn's part of the 3 for sure. But you also have to understand where your target audience is and what's going to resonate with them. Great question, by the way.
Oh, we've got another one from Sierra. What metrics do you use to decide whether it's worth continuing to invest in a specific platform or not?
Well, there's different metrics you might use. I mean, most metrics people look at are obviously impressions, views, but those actually aren't the most important ones because I had a post that had 300,000 impressions, but how many people actually engaged with me? To me, what you want are Ideally, number one thing you want is you want people to send you a message. Oh my God, I love that post, and can we talk? Like that's number one. You want people to DM you or email you. The other two that are really good, of course, are comments because now they're engaging in your post, and the other one is shares. So if someone shares your LinkedIn post, your Instagram post, your TikTok post, that's great. That's a great metric because that means that your stuff's resonating so much that people are willing to share it with their own networks. Comments give you a sign that people are really engaged and these are people you can follow up with to start a conversation with. They like your content enough that they're willing to comment because most people don't comment. So you've got their attention enough with enough, emotional resonance that they want to comment. And of course, the message is obvious. If they message you, that is fantastic. But to me, those are the three metrics that I look for on a platform. Now, that said, building comments, building DMs, and building shares on any platform takes a long time. Like it's not going to happen right. You can't be like, well, I started posting on LinkedIn, Instagram, and I've been doing this for a month, and no one says anything. I'm giving up. No, like you can't give up. Social media, digital content strategy, thought leadership building. This is a 6 to 18 month game, guys. Okay. You're playing the long game here. You're not trying to, I think what you do is at 3 months, you assess what's working, what's not working. At 6 months, you assess what's working, not working, and you adjust, but you don't give up. You keep going. Now, that said, if you just out there without a personal brand or clear target, then yeah, it's going to do terrible even 12 months from now. So you have to be clear in the target, got to be clear in the brand, and be focused on what you're talking about.
That's great. We've got another question that just came in from
Sure.
Maria. How do you know when it's time to add another platform to your mix?
Good call. How do you know when it's time? Well, I mean, I would argue that you should launch with three to start. That's my take, to be honest. But here's the thing. Um, as soon as you put content out there, that content can be repurposed, right? So let's say you're just starting out as a content creator and you decide to do a post on, let's say you just do a post on Instagram. It's just an image, here's my favorite quote, and then you talk about it, blah, 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 blah. As soon as you've done that, that can go elsewhere. That can be on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Threads. If you add some music to it, you can put it on TikTok, right? You can take that video, download it, and put it on YouTube. So, I mean, you could actually, repurpose things everywhere. So now that said, the other thing to think about is initially, if you have one, you start with one platform and you should also have an email. Like, what is your newsletter? Like, again, we talked about rented real estate. You need to get people into your email list. That's an important piece. So you're always starting with two. You should be starting with the one primary and then the email marketing list that you're going to build. Okay. Now, once you have content out there and you're starting to get some traction, you're starting to get people to like it, people to comment. I mean, that's another good sign that your content is resonating with some people. So you may want to dabble in a new place. I personally recommend those that once you have your objective, your target, and your personal brand, and that's clear, you have enough information to then decide which of the first three you're going to go with, and plus including your primary. That's what I would say.
Helps has got a question. Can you recommend any tools or platforms to help create trending content to save time? For example, apart from ChatGTP and similar LLMs.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I mean, but the truth is they all use they all use AI, right? So the key to all of these new software tools and all of these new platforms is you have to customize and personalize the content, right? If you don't do that, it's going to sound like someone else. You want to make it sound like you, right? So just like when I hire a digital content person, I have to teach them about my brand voice and what it does. You can do the exact same thing with AI. So look, I mean, I'll give you two tips. Number one, a tool I use is called Postwise. What I love about Postwise is that I trained it in my brand voice, what I talk about, and after a while it learns. Sometimes, and it'll give you three suggested posts for LinkedIn, three suggested posts for Twitter and Threads. And in the beginning, I'm like, this is not like what I would want to say, so get rid of that one. So it starts to learn after a little bit, and now it's firing away all these amazing stuff, and I just share automatically. So to me, Postwise is a really good tool for LinkedIn, Twitter, and Threads. Twitter and Threads particularly because it creates storytelling threads, which is really great, and you can automatically share them. It's a very simple tool for that. But again, it is using AI, right, to help you figure that stuff out. So you have to understand that that's just how it works. And the other tip I'll give you is a ChatGPT one, which is what you do is in order to customize it to who you are, number one, in the settings, there's a place to personalize what you're trying to do. Make sure you add to the personalization. I'm not sure I can share my screen here. I can actually show people if they want. Can I do that?
Think you can.
Let me do that because I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here. Okay. So ChatGPT. So on ChatGPT, there's two things that are really important. First off, let it name you Fun Bobby, which is always fun. But down here in the bottom, down here where the settings are, see this thing called personalization? You want to tell it all about yourself. So I've personalized exactly what I want. Okay? That's important. So set up the customized personality of who you are and how you talk. That's the first thing. The second thing is you put together a project. So for example, here's a project. This is where I use LinkedIn content strategy. So in a project, what you do is I've uploaded all these files. So I've uploaded files of some of my content, my newsletters, have my writing style. I've uploaded content of other people's stuff that is really, really good, that gives me some great tips on how to do stuff. And so from that, I'm able to create content that's way more advanced and more aligned with my voice, as well as what LinkedIn expertise wants. I did the same thing for Substack. So I created a project folder for Substack. I uploaded other files and information about how to do Substack, as well as my own files and brand stuff. And by having all these things, I'm able to create a really, really good content strategy in my voice that's also using the top tips from the experts. So to me, like that is a huge tip for you.
That's great. There's a couple questions. I've been writing them down as you've been speaking, and then you've either like created a new question and taken me in a different thought process. So one of them that I had going back a little bit is how important do you think blogs are these days? Like having your website and backing up the content with like maybe this anchor blog and then creating content from there. Like, does that still hold true?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, like I said, play to your strengths. Someone's really good at video, live stream, make videos. Someone's good at writing, blogs, newsletters, emails, right? So what you can do is, I mean, right now Substack's the hot one, right? But I mean, you can do LinkedIn newsletters. I have one there. You can use Medium. You can have your own website. I mean, the problem with your own website on your website, I mean, again, you can have it there, but first off, people have to go to your website. And number two, you have to push that stuff out to get any sort of promotion or traction. So for me, I like Substack because you have people who are subscribers and they love long form content, and you can also promote it with a couple of notes and tweets that they have there and automatically reshare. So I think that's a really good tool. So yes, and what you do is if you have long form content, whether it's on LinkedIn or on Medium or Substack, yeah, then you take snippets of it. I mean, that goes for anything. Like if you have a live stream, you do a TEDx talk, you write a book, share a snippet, put on social media. Hey guys, what do you think? Get people involved. Hey guys, here's the new cover of my book. What do you guys think? I'm looking for suggestions. Hey, here are my 3 titles of my TEDx talk. What do you guys think? I'm looking for suggestions. Hey guys, here's my newsletter blog. I'm looking for 3 suggestions for my blog post. What do you think? So, when you engage them, they're way more interactive as well. But yes, you would definitely, to me, written content and newsletter blog type content is incredibly still relevant today. The only difference is there's huge cachet in small snippets. So you want to be able to take that long thing. There are people who read the long thing, but most like the snippets, which then encourages them to read the rest.
Yeah, our attention span is not what it used to be, is it?
Right. No, not at all. What? Oh, okay.
I was watching a movie with my daughter the other night, and she literally had her Snapchat in hand while watching
Right.
the movie. And I was like,
Crazy. I turned it off. I was like, hey, can you put your phone down so we can
that's all
like
right.
watch this thing?
I did the same thing. I was like, can we focus?
I was like, let's watch a movie. Like a movie that's 2 hours. Come on, let's watch some YouTube shorts. I'm like, okay.
Right. The other thing, and you've touched on this a little bit, but I'd love to kind of maybe we're getting towards the end here, but
Yeah.
the consistency and frequency. This is a lot of platforms. I know we talked about obviously, MeetEdgar is hosting this, but this isn't meant to be a sell for MeetEdgar, but this is kind of where we really want people to focus to is like this consistency. And then how do they do that? Like, and how often? What do you
Yeah,
recommend?
so I mean, yeah, so like depending on your type of content, right? So let's say you have a podcast. You can't have a quarterly podcast. It's like it's got to be weekly or bi-weekly, maybe monthly, okay? But like he's got to be frequent. When it comes to content though, like minimum once a week. If you're trying to build on LinkedIn, minimum once a week, ideally 2 to 3 times a week, ideally. Same in the other platforms, right? So, like, and I mean, Twitter is like 10 to 20 per day tweets. TikTok, they want multiple per day. I mean, obviously you can't, but I try to do one every couple of days. On Instagram, I try to do one every couple of days. On LinkedIn, me personally, I'm doing it probably about 5 days a week. But if you want to build consistency, you want to start to build some growth. I don't even think once a week is good enough anymore. Like you're looking at like try to do 3 times a week. It's not that hard to do it. You craft a list of the questions people ask you all the time. You craft a list of the things you want to share. You look at your content pillars. You look at things that are going on in the world, and you comment on those things that are trending. Talk about those. People will respond. People have to talk about those things. But I would say that if you really want to grow, and it's kind of like my fitness trainer. My fitness trainer, Bobby, you can't work out 1 time a week. You need to come at least 3 times a week. Because I was like, how about twice? No, no, 3 to 4. Otherwise, the results are just going to be slow and not great. And also, you start to build consistency, you start to build confidence. It's just so much better. So I would say if you want to build and grow on your primary platform, 3 times a week to start.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I should mention, because my marketing coordinator will kill me if I don't say it out loud, but MeetEdgar is currently offering a back to business discount, and we've partnered with Bobby, and he's got an affiliate link that we've provided him, and that is going to give our guests a special 40% off MeetEdgar. So it's a pretty fantastic deal, and you get a 30-day free trial to give it a go. So that's one way that can really help you build the content library and kind of and get that consistency going, and repeating your evergreen content, like your core messages, is a great way to beef out your content and always have something going out.
Awesome. Yeah,
Oh,
check it out, guys.
yeah, another question that's come in.
And like I said before, I told everybody, like MeetEdgar is one of my primary content strategy tools I've been using for literally over 10. I don't know how long I've been with you guys, 10 plus years at least.
Yeah, I was very thrilled to find out that you were a long-term
Yeah, yeah.
client of MeetEdgar. It worked out really well. It's awesome. Pamela's got a question.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm going to use a teaser for content. How do you handle slash shut down the comments slash questions so you don't give away your service for free? Oh, I've seen this in the comments where people are
What
like, give
exactly
me
are they
the
saying?
price. Give me the price. Where I think where someone's kind of doing a teaser and they want like a call to action, like maybe the DMs, and
Yeah.
you
So
don't want to
look,
give
I
away the
mean,
service.
yeah, I mean, look, if you have a product to sell and you don't want to talk about, first of all, never talk about your prices. Okay. Unless it's like, yeah, I'm doing a workshop for, $97 or 197. But once you get to beyond the higher level pieces, you don't really want to talk about that. So what you really want to do is, yeah, teasers are great. Getting people excited and giving them value. Honestly, you want to get them on a call. Like you get them on a call. Hey, happy to talk with you. Let's get on a call and let's discuss where you're at and where you're trying to go and see if I can help you. Otherwise, I'll refer you to one of my friends. You just say that. You don't talk about prices, not in the DMs, not in the comments, not like that. You just build relationships, or just hey, start by hey, tell me a bit more about your what's your biggest challenge in terms of what you're trying to do. I'd love to know what that is. Okay, okay, good. You know what? Yeah, that's a valid issue. Here, let's get on a call and talk about it. But you always want to get them on a call, right? You don't want to just send stuff. They may say over and over again, well, I don't have time for a call. I just want your price. I said, well, I said I can't really, and then you could just say something like, you can either send them a deck. If you're gonna send them something, send them an entire deck that lays out the entire thing about who you are and why it's great, and then they have to go through it all to finally get to the price page, whatever that might be. So at least they have some, because what you want to do is you want to be able to understand that. For me, my decks will lay out the pain point, lay out what the challenge is, what the opportunity is, how my stuff works, and then here's my guarantee, and here's what you get out of it. Here's what it costs later on. And here's all the testimonials. But I think that, there's a few people who insist on getting a price, but honestly, I can't think of a single time that's led to a client.
Okay. The other
I
piece,
can't think of.
the other piece of that question is how do you answer the questions without giving away your service for free? Or how do you continue to share your content, but like not, you know, giving away the whole thing? Like
Well, I mean,
you still
that's
want
a
to
good
entice
point.
the sale.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like there's a difference between talking and sharing expertise and advice and information versus coaching and consulting, right? There's a big difference. And look, I probably will talk about 99% of all my stuff for free. I really do. I mean, if people like, here's a trick people don't know. Like, if people ask me a question, like people are asking me here, if they ask me a question on one of my LinkedIn posts, you comment on my post, which is great for my traction, and you ask a question, I'll answer it. I'll answer every question you put on my comments in my posts because that's great for me too. So I pretty much give because the thing is in this day and age, most people want they want coaching, community, hand holding, support, and so they're really paying for access to you, right? So what happens is on all my free content, I'll talk about whatever I want for free, no problem. But if they want to start to engage and get access to me, like right now you've asked me and I'm willing to share my screen and look at your stuff, but I'll be gone. And then what happens? Well, then I'll say, let's get a DM. And then, in the call, we'll find out what you want. And then I'll tell you what my programs are. But,
Mhm.
you have to, the links that I shared earlier about, my Substack and things like that, the TLB Club, those are all ways to access me as well. But for the most part, yeah, I give away a lot of my information for free. There's a few things that are part of my signature processes that I don't tell people, and that's fine, but it's mostly 99%. I give everything away. And then but they'll still want your help because they lack confidence. They want the surefire expert to help them along the way. They want access to me and my process, my proven system, things like that. So I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it really builds trust with people. They're going to understand what they're going to be getting from the relationship with you, and I think then they're going to get it also on a more personal level because you're going to be a one-on-one situation
Yeah.
where, you know, and that's what I know we're slightly over time, but I did want to ask because it's been popping up more on my LinkedIn and it even came up in the
Sure.
comments here. Someone in the audience is a member, but your Thought Leadership Branding Club.
Yeah.
What is that all about? Now, this is another way to get access to yours. This is joining a
Yeah, so
club.
I mean, look, I mean, everyone I work with, when I speak at an event or a conference or a company, when I have high level TEDx mastery clients, there's always people that want access to me at a lower level, right? So I create TLB Club as a place for small business owners and content creators and thought leadership, digital thought leadership wannabes to learn everything about how to build and how to grow. So it's a membership community. So, what happens is you'll get access to me with a weekly coaching call, a weekly tech clinic where I talk about tech, software, trends, AI. Some of the members in the club will share their own cool things they've learned. We have a private heartbeat community where people can ask questions, get feedback on their profiles, their business plans, their marketing strategies, their content, all that kind of stuff. Because as an entrepreneur myself, when I first started 20 years ago, it's very lonely. It's very overwhelming with all the things you could do and not sure where to do. You don't know where the resources and tools are. You don't know who to ask questions. So for me, having a place where you can do all those things, that's what membership's all about. So if you're interested in TLB Club, everyone, honestly, try for a month. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, you can leave. No, no questions asked. There's no contract. So yeah, I think a lot of people who, let's say can't afford the high-end stuff will do this. Sometimes the people who've taken my high-end stuff will finish the program and then come into this one for maintenance to have access to me for regular questions ongoing. And the questions, honestly, are everything. Sometimes we even talk about health, conflict, dealing with really bad clients, legal issues. I mean, we talk about everything. But what's great is to have a place where you are part of one. I'm part of a couple other communities myself that I pay into because I get so much value out of it. But TLB Club is my primary one that I give to other people. So yeah, I encourage you to check that out.
That's awesome. Okay, and then to wrap up, because I know I've let us go over time, which is a
Yeah.
bad host, but what can I say? I'm enjoying this. We do have some resources in the resource tab as well. So Bobby has shared quite a few. I encourage our participants to go in there and check out those links. There's some documents in there as well that you can download, and please check those out. And as I said before, we will be sharing the recording to all the registrants after we conclude. But do you have any parting thoughts that you'd like to leave us with, Bobby?
Sure. Look, I mean, building your thought leadership, digital thought leadership is going to benefit you. It'll benefit your organization if you're part of one. And content is the way to go now. We all know this. So figure out where you're at and just start small. Start with steps to then grow big. But you can do it. Just be clear, just be targeted, just be focused. And most importantly, asking for help is courage. So it's okay to ask for help. We all need help. I need help. I still get help. And that's completely okay.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you to everyone who joined us today and for your questions and your enthusiasm. It's much appreciated. And for those I've already seen a few LinkedIn requests come through on my other screen, so that's awesome. I do encourage people to connect and continue to support one another. And this has been so much fun. I hope we can do it again. I don't want to pressure you while we got you live, but I'm probably going to pressure you to do it again because this was great. I think we could use a follow-up at some point.
Sure.
And I wish everyone a great week. Thank you so much, Bobby.
Thank you. Thank you so much.